So this is my second ride now with the Clake2 fitted to the bike. My KTM 300's got the heavier bevel spring, the 280 psi spring. So the original clutch pull was heavier than standard. The Clake's significantly lightened that clutch pull. It's just effortless really to engage and disengage. But what I'm finding is that I'm actually riding the bike almost like a recluse, in that, provided I'm happy with the gear that I'm in, I'm using the rear brake into corners, sliding the bike in, and then just literally releasing the brake and applying throttle and powering out. And it's almost, yeah, it's like riding an auto equipped bike. I can't sort of verbalise how much confidence I've gained. I'm an average trail rider, and I've always been a little bit sketchy on the downhills, and it's made a massive difference for me on slippery, sketchy, sort of rocky downhills. Being able to be up on the pegs, on the balls of my feet, and just using the front and rear brake just like I'm on a mountain bike, and not worrying about engine RPM stalling the bike and having to ghost ride down the hill. The bike won't stall. Like, I can be fully on the rear brake, and as you can see there, the clutch is engaged. I've dialed in a little bit more preload on the clutch lever as the rear brake is actuated, and that's allowing me just to forget about the engine altogether as I'm doing downhills, and really just focusing on my front and rear wheel speed, and whether I'm locking up or about to swap ends. I'm just modulating effortlessly. It's been a game changer for me. The guys were kind enough to include this awesome little CNC handlebar mount, which allows me to do away with the blinker assembly. So much more compact, bit of room on the bars. If I wanted to mount something here, I've now got the room to do that. Very cool, very cool. All in all, I can't fault the product. It's absolutely brilliant. I'm noticing that after 2 rides now, it seems to be just self-leveling. There's 2 little bleeder slots here. They do have rubber expansion bladders in them, but I'm finding that it's just wanting to bleed out a little bit of excess fluid as it's finding its level. But yeah, I've been having a bit of a play ride out here in the paddock, just practicing jumping that log over there, and yeah, loving it, absolutely loving it. So well done guys at Clake. It's a brilliant Aussie made product, and I highly recommend it. If anyone's looking to get one of these, ring up Owen and Kev at Clake, and yeah, get one fitted up. That log there's the size of the front wheel, and previous to just playing around now, I've never really attempted logs that size, so I'm quite pleased. I did find on the first ride I had a little bit of an adjustment period. If I came into a corner a bit too hot, I would dab the rear brake, but because it's a connected circuit, you can see it actually, it pulls in the rear brake at the same time on the hand lever, so you can feel where you're at and how much modulation you've got. I would recommend the dual control if you're a rider, of a lot of experience. It's hard to break that inbuilt subconscious habit to go for the foot brake, and in a panic situation, it is nice to have that back up there. Having said that, I'm probably lucky to get out on the bike once a month, and I'm finding even on the second ride today, I've adapted to using just the hand lever, and I would be happy to delete the foot pedal altogether. So it's something to consider. If you want to have best of both worlds, keep the foot pedal, and it's there for those situations where you'd like that. But it certainly has its benefits in certain conditions. Slippery stuff. Got stuck on a really steep hill yesterday, where normally you go for the front lever, you can't get your foot on the rear lever because you're sliding back down the hill and you've got to put your foot down. Bang! Front and rear brakes locked on, your weight's back on the rear wheel because you're sliding back down the hill, and all of a sudden you get grip and you stop there. And then I was able to simply put my weight on the back wheel and pivot the bike 180 so I'm facing back down the hill. So that was a real benefit, real added benefit that I didn't sort of expect. As far as a bolt-on upgrade to your bike, I'd rate this, for me personally, right up there with revalve and suspension work. That would be the first thing I would do. The second, I would bolt one of these on the bike, and your protective gear, obviously your radiator braces, pipe guard, etc. But I'd put it right up there as a priority for people that are new to biking, that want to adapt from, you know, perhaps having ridden trail bikes, mountain bikes. It makes a very simple transition. All you have to get used to is gears. And you can look, I'm in gear now. I'm going to pull away off the rear brake, holding the rear brake, clutches in, and away you go. That's cool. I reckon that is shit hot. Another benefit, I'm not very confident with monos on a two-stroke, especially with no engine brake. And I can find that I'm sort of more confident to sort of get it to the balance point and hold it there, knowing that if I do tip it, it's a simple just squeeze of the brake and you're back down. That's pretty cool. Brake rear lock up, like it's got really good modulation of the rear brake. I'm getting full lock up before pulling the lever into the grip. And the guys at Clake can offer you different cam profiles to alter that almost, you know, infinitely. Jesus. Yeah, that was a good one. Should shut up talking and concentrate on what I'm doing. So look, pull the rear brake in, start the bike in here, right away. Try that again, I can't end like that. Dust myself off. Clutch in. Pop the clutch over. Oh, it's good I didn't case out there. Happy with that. Certainly no Graham Jarvis, but yeah, that log's the same height as the front wheel.
Sorry about that, guys. The review yesterday was cut a bit short by a flat GoPro battery. Back home now, and I've stripped the bike down and given it a clean. And it's a good chance to just do a final recap on the Clake2 product. Overall, I'm really excited for this. This is probably, you know, I used a few superlatives in my review yesterday, but yeah, I'm really excited about this. This is probably the coolest thing I've ever put on a dirt bike as far as changing my level of confidence and feel for what the bike's doing. The one finger clutch, so light, so easy to use. You can keep your other three fingers wrapped around the bar at all times, giving you more strength and control over the bike. When you have to use 2 or 3 fingers at a time, holding on with just that pinky finger is not great. So that's one main benefit of this. Found myself, as you saw in the video, tackling logs that I haven't tried before, and having that confidence there that the rear brake, you know, you pop the front wheel up and you dab the rear brake if needed, if you get too much attitude on the bike. That's great. The biggest benefit of this is on, as I said, on steep downhills, where you're able to really finely modulate that rear brake to the point of lockup without sort of then swapping heads and sliding down the hill. And as you can see, it's pulling the clutch at the same time, so forget about stalling the bike whilst you're worrying about the terrain and what's coming up ahead of you. You're forgetting about the engine revs. It doesn't really matter. You're riding this down the hill like a mountain bike. You can see there how much clutch is getting pulled in with it, to the point where at full brake pressure the clutch is almost bottoming out against the lever, and that's fully adjustable via this little toggle here. If we look underneath, you can see how that works. Really quite simple. You've got the 2 levers where they overlap, and a little indexed adjuster, a little bolt presses against the little face of that clutch lever there. Little returns pressure spring here. You can see the clutch line from the underside runs down this side of the bike to your slave, so very similar to before, but on the other side of the bike we've got two lines. I've opted to keep the brake pedal, as I touched on earlier. Your original brake line coming from the master cylinder now runs forward, runs up here past the cylinder head all the way up to the bars, to the Clake unit, and then your main line coming out of the Clake, running back down behind the headlight, following that same path all the way to the rear caliper. So having that single circuit that's operating together, giving you the best of both worlds. If you wanting to keep the foot brake, as I have, don't hesitate. That's a fantastic solution. I was really pressed to feel any difference in brake feel using the brake pedal from before, given that, you know, you've got a longer line there, and I couldn't pick a difference at all. Still nice bite and modulation of the rear brake. Maybe one benefit actually, as I found out up at Dargo recently, on really long downhill sections, I'm talking 10-kilometre downhills where you're always on the brake, I was boiling my rear brake even with Motul 600 fluid. Given the small volume of the KTM master cylinder, maybe that's an added plus of this system. You've got brake fluid all the way up to the bar and then back again, so it's going to take a little bit more to boil that line and cause you any problems. So all in all, I'm really wrapped with this. I think this is one of the most exciting products to come out for dirt bikes in recent times, especially for someone coming new to trail riding that's stepping up from mountain biking, downhill or trail riding. This is fantastic. This is going to really enable you to adapt and get up to speed quickly. So yeah, if you're looking at this and you think that, yeah, well, that's for me, don't hesitate to give the guys at Clake a call. Kevin, Owen, really fantastic to deal with via phone, email and in person in Thomastown. Go and see them. Check one out in person at one of the upcoming Enduro Cross series if they've got their stalls there. That's where I first came across the product, out at Wildwood. They had their stall display showing the product in person and talking you through its benefits, and I was quickly hooked on the idea and booked in to have one fitted up only a few weeks later. Yeah, so yeah, by all means give the guys a call, check it out, and support Aussie made ingenuity. Fantastic. Thanks guys.